This video was supposed to be a very detailed and serious video. Said video twice, nice. But I realized when I was making the video that I'm just not made for that. I think even about serious topics, I can't really make them that serious because it's just not me. So I'm outside and I'm gonna talk about why Stalin wasn't that bad of a person, which is just funny, very, very funny for me. So, first of all, Stalin, his wife, literally killed herself because of him, which is pretty funny. What the fuck? Yeah, so she killed herself because she was so against the things he was saying and so against the things he was believing in. So she basically killed herself in an act of rebellion. No, not basically, she literally killed herself in an act of rebellion. And he said in front of the whole world that she was a traitor against the party. And that's a pretty bad thing to do, right? He also made a 5-year plan where he wanted to change society so everybody can have the same amounts of food and get the same amounts of food supply, basically. And he kicked out all the farm owners so that he can make collective farms. And he did make that, but when he was doing that, about 3 to 5 million people died out of hunger, which is just absolutely mental. Like, they were converting to cannibalism, and there were like a lot of people just being killed because they were against that. He literally kicked out the farm owners, and the owners that had the farm, they were like rebelling and stuff, and they were just, they were dead, or they were sent to the gulag. I believe you guys know what the gulag is. If you don't know, check it out. I'm probably gonna put a screenshot here or something. So he did that. It was in Ukraine. Also, like, he was killing a lot of people that were like against the party, and they were speaking like against the party, and he killed them like all. Basically, he was writing like death sentences, right? He was writing them, and when he was writing them, he was adding like a personal touch to them, which is pretty funny. He was calling like girls like prostitutes and stuff, which doesn't sound like a behavior of a nice person, more like a psychopath. Like, literally, psychologists have studied him and they said that's like signs of a psychopath, which is also like absolutely mental. And I don't condone to any of that behavior. I mean, you have to break some eggs to make an omelet, right? Like, you have to kill some people so your idea can prosper. But you really didn't. Like, you really didn't, which is pretty funny. And why do I say he's like not that bad? Because I wanted to make a video about China and about its current situation. But after some research, I found out about this leader like 50 or 60 years ago. His name is Mao Zedong, right? And this guy basically like admired Stalin, and when Stalin died, basically he was like, oh no, I need to follow his legacy, right? And he started following his legacy, and when he was doing that, he wanted to make like a pretty similar plan where he wanted to stop basically people from making. No, he didn't want to stop it, but he wanted to change society from an agrarian society, which is a society that depends on like farmland and stuff, to an industrialized society, which is like based on machinery, right? He wanted to make that. He made that plan. It was about 5 years as well. It's like a casual thing in communism and socialism, right? You make like plans and you make the food. And when he made that plan, about 36 million people died. It's argued upon like how many people died, but in a famous book that's called Tombstone, all the calculations go to like 36 million, which is like, when I was reading that, I was absolutely shocked. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that. Like, and I started like reading like more and more in the internet, and I found out that some of these people were like literally converting to cannibalism as well. They were literally fighting for food, right? They were fighting for food. They were fighting for food. And when they were fighting for food, they were just like shot or beat to death because I don't know, why would you fight against that? Like, we said so, you have to eat the same amounts of people, like food as other people. And yeah, like a lot of people died. 36 million people died. And when I was telling my friends about this whole situation, they were like, "Wow, that's so cool, man!" And they just kept on with their lives. And I was just kind of disappointed with that, because it's such a big issue. Like 36 million people died. Can you even imagine that? How many people died? And they were like, "Oh, yeah." And it's so funny because it reminds me of Stalin's quote that literally says, "A death of one man is a tragedy, a death of a million is a statistic." And it's just the biggest proof. Like 36 million people died, and people just view it like as a big number. It's like a big number of people died, and that's so crazy. Wow. No, it's not that. You should be. I couldn't even believe that. And afterwards, I did some more research. And after 36 million people died, of course, this guy Mao, he started to lose his reputation, right? Well, a lot of people were calling him sick and stuff, and he was like not okay with his mental health. And he started doing some propaganda stuff, and he was trying to show the whole community that he was okay. So he swam in a river, and he said to the community that he swam 16 kilometers, like boom, boom, in about 15 minutes, no, how much minutes? Like 56 minutes, which basically is better than like every single Olympic swimmer. He like literally beat world records, which basically says he lied in front of it. That's what I'm trying to say to you guys. He lied in front of the whole community. And people are like, "Oh no, maybe he's okay, maybe he's a good guy." And afterwards, in like communistic regimes, because China in that time was like a communistic, socialistic party, whatever you want to call it, country. And therefore, like communistic parties and all, they try to sell propaganda to the community so that nobody can rebel, because if nobody knows what's gonna happen, then how are you gonna rebel against something if you don't know it's happening, right? So he started killing people, he started purging intellectuals, he started like this, and a lot of them died. Afterwards, he basically like destroyed all the cultural sites, right? He like literally destroyed all the cultural sites, and there were like big buildings of him, so that people can only see his face, right? He also like got rid of almost like every book, and the only thing people can read are just like only his sayings, and anything that goes along with like his beliefs. And people were okay with that as well, which to me, it makes sense. Like, people don't even realize what's happening. We're just like normal sheep. Like, how can you know that? And a lot of stuff happened. Enough time passed by. He died. China got normal for like a while, or I guess so. And after research a little bit more, I realized that people still idolize him. So I want to show you guys how big my forehead is. Look at that. What the fuck? So I'm going to talk about two books. So the first book is The Gulag. The second one is Tombstone. Why am I talking about those? Listen. So first of all, The Gulag is a book that talks about the horrors that happened in Stalin's time. And it's a book that's considered as good literature, and it's a book that almost everybody reads. The book Tombstone is a masterpiece that is banned in China, and nobody can read it because it speaks against the government, which is just so sad. And this like my main point against socialism and communism, because I'm just so against that. So this video has two purposes. First of all, to show you that Stalin wasn't that bad, and he was very bad. But there's worse. Like literally Mao did like 7 times worse than him, which is funny. Like even like World War II, there were like about between 35 and 50 million deaths, right? Mao almost killed like the same amount. Like, good job, man. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about, and this is how I'm gonna end the video, is that, you know, this communistic, socialistic regimes suck. First of all, because even if like all their plans go into play and this utopia actually like begins, and everybody's living fairly, and everybody like gets to eat as much as they want, and everything is fair and everything is amazing, us human beings will do something stupid just so something interesting can happen. Why? Because we're meant to go through hardships, basically. We're meant to suffer, we're meant to go through bad times, and I believe that it doesn't work out because we don't have a freedom of speech, we don't have a freedom of choice when something like that happens, and we're just like some type of robots that do whatever is told for them to do. So we're just like dead inside. Yeah, we get everything we want, everything we would wish for, but we didn't really win that. We're just doing whatever we're told and we get something, but did you do something about it that's like actually your achievement? No. And how are you gonna be happy with that? Us human beings would be happier with living shitty lives, but at least having the opportunity to have a shitty life, you know, which is so funny, and it's pretty sad, but it is the truth. And therefore, a lot of people die because they're just being themselves. They're being individualistic, which is an absolute tragedy. And if you have any counter arguments against the things I'm saying, go on, I'm listening. Thank you for listening to my video. Leave a comment, leave a like. I love you guys.